say anything or pick your nose or anything weird like
that. Yeah.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Monday edition of Coffee with Cramer and Colleen. I am Don Cramer with the Cramer Group at Urban Nest Realty in the house. Colleen sends her best, as we kind of noted a couple times. She's got a couple of listings and housing issues in the old real estate realm working on today. So she sends her best and will be joining us here in the near future. But she does send her best. She's working on a couple, like I said, listings that we've got coming up and a couple of escrows we've got going. And we'll look forward to chatting more about those as we move further into the week. So my toast today. So today joining us in remotely over the interwebs is good friend and colleague, longtime friend and colleague, Jeff Jensen. And Jeff Jensen is a field representative with the Golf Course Superintendents Association of America. A lot of people know about the PGA. I was a PGA professional for many years, and Jeff and I used to work together back in our previous careers in the managing and operations of golf clubs. But Jeff has stayed with the golf industry for a long time. He's still based out of Las Vegas here, and we brought Jeff in today to talk about what's going on with golf courses during COVID-19, what's going on in the industry, things of that nature, and also about golf courses and real estate. Because as we know, golf course developments and real estate have been very positive in a lot of effects. And then we've had a couple of issues over the last several years. And I just kind of want to take this time to have Jeff on the show today to discuss that. So Jeff, cheers to you. Welcome today.
Thank you, Don. I appreciate you having me on. Great to see you as always. I wish Colleen could be on here as well. I've known both of you for almost 20 years. So you guys do an amazing job here in the real estate market, and glad to be part of the show this morning. Thanks again for having me on.
Oh, absolutely. It's a pleasure. And it was always great to catch up. So Jeff, with regards to the golf courses, so recently the governor announced reopening of some sports situations like tennis courts and golf facilities with certain provisions in place. Now, they didn't reopen immediately. Some are still going through the process.
Correct.
Could you explain what's going on right now?
Yeah, well, obviously last week on last Wednesday, the governor allowed golf to reopen, as a few other essential outdoor activities were also included in that. Golf reopened as a whole on May 1st in Nevada here. Many of the facilities across, obviously, southern Nevada, as well as the northern part of the state, reopened on that day. We've had others that have opened throughout the weekend here, Saturday, Sunday, and we actually still have some clubs that are prepping for opening right now in the next couple of days. So some of them were going through projects, doing some work on the course, so they needed a couple of extra days to get those projects finished. Also, some facilities did need to get employees back, be able to get things ready, in a safety and social distancing perspective as well, to be able to have guests back. So some of them took a couple of other days to get that going, but the majority of golf courses today in the state of Nevada are open for play. So excited to be back, and it's good for our residents. It's good for our industry, and golf is one of the few activities I think that can be safely done with social distancing protocols right now.
Okay. And what type of protocols are people experiencing when they're going out to the golf course to play?
Well, the game's going to change a little bit for the foreseeable future right now. Some of the things that you're seeing on the golf course, a lot have to do with the operations side of it, the golf course setup. Obviously, flags are being kept in the holes, which was allowed underneath the new USGA rules as well. But that's a big point of touch there. So keeping those in the holes. The cups themselves are either inverted, so they're placed upside down, so they have a very maybe basically an inch to an inch and a half depth of those, so they're a very thin cup, or some of them are actually just putting into a raised surface. No rakes in the bunkers, no water coolers, no sand and seed on the carts or on the golf course. When you're checking into facilities, they're either checking in outdoors or they have a very limited counter space in the clubhouse facilities. From a food and beverage standpoint, restaurants are closed to, or clubhouse restaurants are closed to everything with the exception of takeout. So you'll probably see a lot of outside grills set up right now at golf course facilities for things like that. Single rider carts are a very big perspective of this right now. They do allow multiple riders in carts if you're in the same household. But if you're not, if you're playing with a group of people that you don't know, or a group of friends who you don't live with, single rider carts are required, or walking. So I think that's going to be something moving forward here in the next few months. It's going to be a big part of this effort. That's one that we have to closely watch and be aware of. So it's the sanitation protocols on golf courses. There are a lot of points of touch there, so the courses are doing a tremendous effort, for sanitary purposes, wiping those down with sanitizer, making sure that every cart goes out in a very safe manner. Practice facilities, 6 feet apart on the golf course for the range. All the balls, in addition to being washed like they always are now being sanitized as well. So kind of a new procedure for golf courses there, but again, able to do that, I think, in a safe, manner. So those are some of the main changes you're going to see there. And I think, obviously, until, we possibly find a vaccination, or this could calm down in the next few months, we're going to be probably dealing with a little of these. And I think it's, it's important for golfers to realize that right now it's not going to be so much about the competitive aspect of the game of golf. It's going to be about getting out on the golf course, getting some exercise, enjoying the sun, enjoying the weather, enjoying some camaraderie with people in these tough times. But we're going to see some definite changes from a competitive standpoint. It's not going to be quite the game that we're accustomed to in the next few months.
Right, exactly. And, in the golf industry, there's kind of a triad. I mean, well, probably a group of four. You have the Club Managers Association, you have the PGA of America, you have the Golf Course Superintendents Association, and then you have the USGA, which is sort of the rules body. How have you all been interacting through this period?
Very closely, actually, through the We Are Golf allied organizations. We all work together on a national level. All of our CEOs, whether that's Red Evans with the GCSAA, you got Jeff Morgan with the CMA, you obviously have Seth Wall with the PGA of America, Jay Monahan with the PGA Tour. All these folks are in touch on a daily basis, and we've come up with actually a set of operating guidelines that all the organizations have contributed to. They are a phased-in guideline for golf courses that go very much along with the CDC recommendations, and also the phased-in openings from the federal government that President Trump has put together. So those, from a bigger perspective, are kind of what's being used as an operating guideline throughout the country. And again, it's a phased-in approach for golf as well, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. So hopefully as the country reaches certain levels, golf will reach certain levels as well and phase those in. Again, in addition to the phased-in guidelines, we actually have operating procedures for golf courses as well. And again, those include all the sanitary and social distancing protocols. From GCSA's perspective, we've come up with a document for golf course maintenance, which includes, how to, sanitize all the equipment, sanitize all the hand tools, proper social distancing in the workplace, doing our meetings outside. Making sure that the equipment's washed down on a daily basis, how we're able to handle our break rooms, our lunch breaks, our scheduling, punching in and out for, morning assignments, job boards. So a lot of that stuff has really been thought out well by not only our association, but the PGA of America, the CMA, and the USGA as well. But we're very involved with that. And again, we do have those guidelines available at the gcsaa.org website that all of our allied associations have worked together on. And again, we've done webinars each week for our respective associations. I've appeared on a lot of PGA stuff throughout the last few weeks. And again, we've done town halls. So again, the associations are working very closely on this to make sure that golf, can maintain its place in today's, society. And, we plan on continuing those efforts moving forward until we're back to some semblance of normal.
So, Jeff, you talked about things like phase 2 and phase 3. What is that kind of, could you briefly say what those entail, and maybe sort of what are the benchmarks for those implementations?
Yeah, well, obviously into a phase 1, we'd still got to be looking like we are with, no larger group gatherings than 10 people in one place. Obviously single rider carts. You're looking again at the no rakes in the bunkers, either a raised cup.
Phase one we're in right now.
Yeah, in the perspective that we're in right now. As we move to phase two, we'd be basically looking at moving into an area where we would be able to get back to, hopefully doing some, some online, some on-course things where we could have, regular cups, bunkers back in the rakes again. Rakes back in the bunkers again. Possibly some on-course, bottled water, some of the amenities that we've become used to in phase two. And then a phase three opening would be basically kind of returning to a normal where we would have some, clubhouse operations. Again, those might be somewhat spaced out a little bit. Obviously, looking at the 6-foot social distancing. But again, we'd be able to have clubhouse operations, food and beverage operations back again. Multiple riders in the carts. Again, we're going to probably follow sanitizing efforts for some time in the future here, but phase three is more of a golf as we know it now. So those are kind of the the three phases that we're looking at. And again, those it's hard to put a determining date on when we would move into each phase. It's going to depend a lot on what happens at obviously the federal level, what type of infection rates we're seeing, not only in the state of Nevada, but throughout the nation. Are we seeing a big decline? Are we moving in a downward trend? So those are the type of things that golf is going to take, kind of from the government, from the federal government, from the states as well. And I think you'll see it move not only federally, but statewide, even countywide in some respects. California is the place that runs a lot through counties instead of the state orders. So I think everything's going to be a little bit fluid in different places. So you might see somebody open up, into those phases sooner than another state might be. So I think it's going to be a fluid situation moving forward.
Okay. And with that in regard, so Jeff, you're what they call a regional representative for the Superintendents Association. So you interact with people in several Western states. Those Western states, how kind of are they all kind of at phase one, or any of them at phase two, or some of them still at even phase zero?
Yeah, everybody is open right now. The 4 states that I cover, I do cover California, Arizona, Hawaii, and Nevada.
Okay.
Hawaii just opened up on Friday as well as Nevada. Arizona has never closed during this. They have been open for golf. Again, following social distancing protocols and safety precautions. So they've been one of the states that have had no shutdowns. California has been on a county by county basis. They've never completely shut down golf. There has been golf in the state since the opening, but many of the counties had stricter requirements than the governor put out. So several of them were closed for 3 to 4 weeks at a time. But they've all been opening back up, and in the next couple of days, the Bay Area will be opening, which is basically one of the last ones. The city of Los Angeles, the county of Los Angeles are still coming up. We're hoping those are going to be open by the middle of May, and that would pretty much put a cap on all of California being open as well. So again, we're nowhere as far as on course, nowhere really near a phase 2 level right now. Nobody's operating with rakes, regular cups. That sort of thing is still to come. I do believe Arizona may be one of the first states we'll see that in.
Okay.
Hopefully they'll be moving into a phase 2 maybe here after the middle of May. That's just a guess right now, but I do believe that they'll be the first state where we'll see some upward trend and maybe a little bit easing of the restrictions. So it's kind of where it's at right now.
They do say that the coronavirus doesn't do well in the heat, and I don't think a coronavirus ever met a Phoenix summer.
That's it's definitely a possibility, and obviously a Nevada one as well. So I think we'll get a good a good preview of what's going to happen with that a little bit here in the coming weeks. Obviously, reaching temperatures into the triple digits here this week, well into the triple digits in Scottsdale and Phoenix. So I think we're going to get a good not only from the golf point of view, but from the virus point of view as a whole on what the heat does to this. So hopefully there's some good news from that.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows that if you're just tuning in, we were welcoming Jeff Jensen. Jeff is the field regional representative for the Western states for the Golf Course Superintendents Association. Jeff's been kind to tune in today to answer some questions if you have any about golf in Southern Nevada, or if you're even coming at us remotely, we may be able to field a couple of questions remotely as well. So Jeff, thanks for tuning in, but it looks like we've got a couple likes coming up here on the broadcast. So we thank those people for tuning in. So Jeff, with regards to this, now let's talk a little bit about the competition side, because let's speak about sports. So Here's this is going back old school. So mutual friend Brady Hatfield up in Washington, great golf professional, general
Absolutely.
manager of one of the finest new golf clubs open, Gamble Sands. I think I got that right. Posted. I think ESPN had 4 or 5 things on broadcast that I think one might have been, I don't know, the badminton championship at night, something like that, and a couple other events. And I said, Brady, I said the ESPN would kill to pay us money to have some of those old putting course tapes at Angel Park from late in the afternoon or evening. So kind of brings some so the entertainment side, I've been watching a lot of Shell's Wonderful World of Golf. I think I just recently watched Sam Snead and Jack Nicklaus play Pebble Beach, and so you're seeing a lot of classic golf. So I know that a lot of golfers are yearning for competition, and I think they're trying to look at like maybe a June or July start to the tour.
Yeah, to the tour right now, June 11th is the prescribed starting date at this point, which would be the Charles Schwab Cup event at Colonial Country Club. First 4 events they're planning on having no fans at. So again, that's just that obviously is a start date depending on a lot of other things throughout the the country with this virus. But June 11th looks like the starting date. They did announce, however, in the last few days that on May 17th. There will be a charity skins game at Seminole Golf Club down in West Palm Beach, which will involve Dustin Johnson and Rory McIlroy versus Ricky Fowler and Matthew Wolff in a team skin format, which will be aired by NBC for a 4-hour period there on I believe it's Sunday, May 17th. So I think that's kind of maybe I think that'll be big to a lot of people to see that on TV. And while it is just a charity skins game, it's going to give people a chance to see Seminole Golf Club, which has, to my knowledge, never been put on TV before. One of the great Donald Ross design golf courses in the world, pretty much top 10 on anybody's list. So I think that'll give people a great.
It's a bucket list golf course.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely a bucket list course to start there. And then obviously we've heard rumors about a Mickelson Woods against a Mickelson Brady versus Woods Peyton Manning matchup maybe later in May as well. So we'll see if that comes
to that effect. So do you think that might be something maybe a little bit more out west here, or you think that's going to maybe be more in Florida?
I've heard there's probably going to be a Florida event. I've heard some courses throwing around out there, maybe the Medalist Club. Some stuff like that, but I don't think anything's been confirmed there. But obviously moving forward with the golf, hopefully we can get things started in June with no crowds. I think golf is something that can be aired on TV and played without a crowd. It might not be quite as exciting, but I think watching some good golf regardless will be good there. And then their schedule for the major championships. Obviously the Open Championship has been canceled this year, but the first major would be the first week of August at Harding Park in San Francisco for the PGA Championship. The third week of September at Wingfoot for the United States Open, and then the 9th of November for the Masters down in Augusta this year. So if things go as is, maybe we'll have 3 major championships.
So the RNA has postponed the Open for 2020.
Correct.
Okay, and then this year was to be a what cycle are we on right now for the team events?
This was scheduled to be a Ryder Cup year, and they are still discussing holding that. To my knowledge, right now they're looking at possibly doing that. Again, I've heard with possibly no fans, but I guess we'll see where that goes right now.
Ryder Cup, that would be a challenge.
It would be a very big challenge. I think the players have kind of indicated that might not be a way they want to go, but obviously with the revenue that brings in for the PGA of America, as well as the 2 tours, European Tour as well, they rely really heavily on those revenue dollars from the Ryder Cup. So money might play a big part in that decision.
So Jeff, with regards to so we've talked about golf from a competitive sense, from a television telecasting at the highest level. how are now we start getting down to the more local regional level with the USGA and more locally for us, the Southern Nevada Golf Association. How, I mean, I take it those competitions are on hiatus until we reach more of a level 3 position, would you say?
Right now, they are on hiatus. The Southern Nevada Golf Association has done a terrific job in, kind of helping head efforts with the Nevada Golf Alliance to make sure golf is open in Nevada. Obviously, an SNGA member myself, they have had to cancel their events right now. I think if we moved into possibly a phase 2, there could be some golf we could see possibly opened up on a social distancing for tournaments. I'd have to leave that to the SNGA right now. I know they had their next event was scheduled, I believe, for May 23rd and 24th out in Boulder City. I don't think they've officially canceled that yet, but they're probably going to be, looking at making a decision on that soon. Hopefully maybe by, if nothing else, by the, late June, maybe we can get some local SNG events going. And it's hard to say what the competitive rules of that are going to be. What that might look like is, probably a better question for them, but certainly probably a little bit different than what we've seen in the past.
Sure thing. Absolutely. And so Jeff, now let's touch base a little bit about golf in general in the real estate industry. As you know, being in real estate, we get a lot of questions about golf course properties, country club communities, things of that nature, because of my time in the business, and basically have been here from the opening of just about all the current set of golf courses going back to the late 80s, or anything since the late 80s. How are golf course how's the superintendent association and such interacting with homeowners, residences, communities, or looking at those in both in light of today's business circumstances and in the future?
Well, obviously, being, on the superintendent side of that, they have to have a close interaction with their HOAs. They do a great job here, especially in Southern Nevada, of working with those groups, maintaining the properties, keeping the properties to standards that obviously enhance a property owner's value for their homes. Making sure that the golf courses are, clean, they're maintained, the desert landscaping areas that we see very commonly in Southern Nevada, ranging from the property line to the actual fairways of the golf courses. Obviously, due to water concerns here, we don't have much wall-to-wall turf in Southern Nevada anymore. We do have those desert areas. So, it's important that the superintendents, they do a great job in keeping those up. They're always, constantly working with, like I said, not just HOAs, but, the homeowners themselves. When there's complaints, their crews are on those typically to make sure that they're taken care of. And, I can't say enough about the guys, especially here in Southern Nevada, just do a great job to make these facilities look, world class, and they do enhance the property value for owners, throughout, Las Vegas, and the rest of Clark County as well. So they do a really good job out there, and they certainly have their challenges, I think, from time to time, but everybody does, and they work with them to make sure that those problem areas are addressed.
Got it. Absolutely. And we appreciate the superintendents because they're probably the like you said, the lead point between the golf property and the HOA or the homeowners. Yeah, certainly you have the general manager and the golf professional as well, but that superintendent, I mean, their teams are out there first thing in the morning, or they're out there in the field all day, every day, being ambassadors of the club in relation to the homeowners. So, Jeff, have a couple of the controversies, I don't know if you can speak to them or not. We've had the Badlands closed for a long time with their litigation suit. There's a similar but not exact situation going on at Silverstone Ranch. For various reasons. It's about, people purchased them, long and short of them, several years ago because they wanted, they felt that it was a better economic plan for the owner to develop the property and to some type of residential situation versus opening a golf course, because as we know, I mean, operating a golf course in Las Vegas is quite difficult. And number one line items probably still remains water, as well as several other drivers, versus costs in other states. Have you heard anything new, or where the direction's going in on those? Because at one point in time, we were dealing with a lot of litigation. Then the governing forces at the city level tried, county level, and all of them all tried to step in, and I think that kind of blew back, especially in light of the recent elections. How are those still being managed, and then how's that kind of transcending down to the other properties?
Well, I can't speak from a legal standpoint on that. I'm not quite aware. I'm not fully aware of the legal ramifications of those, but obviously from closed golf courses, obviously, I think there's no doubt you're going to see a decrease in property values from those homes that are located on those facilities. You mentioned Silverstone, which has been closed for a very long time now. The Badlands closed a couple of years ago. That's been the biggest one I think you'll see in the papers on the litigation efforts. Black Mountain up in Henderson recently closed their operation a little bit over a year ago. There's talk about homes being built up there as well on the property. So some of that may take care a little bit of itself at the Black Mountain situation, where the course would go away, homes would be built in there. It might not be such an eyesore, but I think if you go, to the Silverstone property and you go to the Badlands property, it does not take very long for a golf course to deteriorate without, upkeep.
Absolutely.
And it's going to take, if those golf courses were to ever reopen, it's going to take a massive effort and a lot of money. I've seen very few of those situations. Once they close, they typically remain closed. Reflection Bay was an exception here in Henderson at Lake Las Vegas. That was a course that went under during the back end of the Great Recession, and it was able to open again and back to pristine conditions up there. So, but there was a very large amount of money that went into getting that facility back up and ready to run again. So, kind of the message is once you lose a golf course, it's probably gone for good.
So again, we also had the falls close, and that's mostly being redeveloped and I think they're keeping some of the greenscape of the original golf course on the frontage.
Yeah, correct. They do keep the the places, the homes that are fronted there. They do keep it green. They've actually developed part of the falls into a driving range facility also for the members at Reflection Bay. There's not a driving range at Reflection Bay, so they can drive slightly down the street there. They have that facility available. They do have the clubhouse facility that was at the falls. It's being used for pickleball and some other things as well. So they've managed to kind of redevelop that area into a very useful outdoor recreational facility. So those are the type of things that could be done there as well. But again, it's to be able to operate a golf operation in this city is very difficult. You're looking at a water bill from $750,000 to maybe $1 million here, and for a facility in the state of Nevada. Labor costs continue to increase. Seed, chemicals, everything else, just continues to move up there. So it becomes, a very difficult, type operation. But the one positive I see in all of this is I see people getting back on the golf course right now. We're doing a lot of rounds. And maybe the one positive that comes out of this is that people take up golf again. It's an activity that you can do social distancing wise, and there's very few of those right now. So I think we're going to see an uptick in rounds even throughout the summer months here.
Absolutely, yeah. It's an opportunity for people to get out, get some exercise, get some sun, get some fresh air, and then, like as you mentioned, the costs are a challenge for golf courses, and we've dealt with some property on Silverstone, also some property on the Badlands themselves, in certain areas of the Badlands, but more so I think Silverstone, because I think Silverstone has been closed for a little longer.
Mm-hmm.
The return of the property almost to its original environment while not complete, is getting there to where, okay, the golf course is really sort of undistinguishable, and you just sort of have paths and arroyos and things that have kind of sprouted up. So it's kind of like returned to its little sort of original state, which has kind of returned some value and attractiveness to it, because you don't have houses right up against you. You have some great vistas and views. Um, and so we'll continue to see what happens there. And then with the Badlands, I think there's been a little bit of that. Um, and if you see all the new developments, probably with exception of the Summit, which is sort of a kind of a unique situation unto itself, new developments are, when they're being built with community activities, golf is not one of them.
Yeah, I think we're going to obviously see a decrease, a continued decrease. That's been the thing for the last 10 years. Obviously, we're seeing a lot more golf courses close every year than we are open. But hopefully, like I said, we get to see some playback from this a little bit, and we can start to lower that trend of courses closing. Certainly be a challenge for a lot of operators to stay in business as well. Particularly municipal clubs, I think, throughout the country are going to be in very danger of a lot of probably municipalities shutting down with what's going on with COVID. A lot of cities are going to be operating with, and states operating with less tax dollars. So I do see a potential there for trouble in the municipal side of golf operations with what this COVID coming up. But there's also some opportunities for good operators out there, particularly in the in the daily fee and private side of it, to take advantage of some of this situation and get do what they do best and provide activities and provide recreation and provide dining to people where it might not otherwise be available.
Absolutely, no question about it. No question. I think it's interesting you brought up the private clubs. I think the private clubs have a unique opportunity to sort of, whether it's with their residential base around them, as a point of continued enjoyment beyond just sort of being a visual amenity, but having facilities, having maybe a food and beverage relationship, things like that, to go, stuff like that, that can be very beneficial. And I believe a couple of the clubs are doing that, which I applaud them. And like we give a shout out to a lot of small businesses. Golf, while it looks expansive, is still kind of a small business with regards to the number of employees that you may have running a golf operation and such. And the people are very grassroots and involved in the community. So if you get a chance, or have ever thought about it, reach out to one of the golf courses. And I know some of the instructors are starting to get back and going. I think that might be a good opportunity to maybe learn, take a few lessons, learn the game, and opportunity to get out, especially too with the family out there. I think, for me and for you, junior golf was critical to our career paths. So hopefully we can get some people back out there playing. It sounds like we are. Jeff, is anything you wanted to bring up today that we didn't touch on?
Just a little bit about our association, Golf Course Superintendents Association of America. It is a professional and trade organization for golf course superintendents. We're out of Lawrence, Kansas. I do live in Henderson, Nevada, but we have approximately 19,000 members in 78 countries. So again, we provide education, information, and representation for our members. We advocate on behalf of the golf industry federally as well. We have a lobbyist in Washington, D.C. We work with our respective allied organizations to protect the game of golf. We're also very involved in the environmental side. Nevada recently, a matter of fact, along with GCSA, just released the Best Management Practices Guide for golf courses. It's a comprehensive 175-page guide that is focused on the agronomic operations and environmental sustainability of golf clubs in the state of Nevada. So it's really about reducing inputs, whether those are fertilizers, fungicides, water, and protecting our wildlife out on the golf course. It's just a tremendous asset for golf courses, but also for our environmental side of our facilities to show people what we are doing and to show our lawmakers what we're doing as well. And that was just released basically back last November. So our courses are kind of starting to adopt that that document now, and hopefully we'll spread the use of that document throughout the state once COVID-19 kind of passes. We'll get back to that a little bit again.
Great, Jeff. Well, I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank the golf course superintendents and their staffs out there that have been keeping the golf courses maintained during this COVID-19 and have been able to put them in position to reopen. And hopefully, again, that provides some entertainment, some relaxation, some exercise for people as we all get through this, and put a smile on their face, because that putt or that tee shot or that chip that might go in is always one of those great moments in time that bring people back and puts a smile on their face. So, Jeff,
Absolutely.
thanks for tuning in. We might check in with you a little later down the line, maybe as we can move into like the phase 2 or phase 3, because I know there's a lot of stuff going on with golf courses over the next several months with regards to summer being here and maintenance practices. So I'd like to probably kind of touch base with you a little later and see, has anything happened now transcended down, let's say 90 days from now?
Well, absolutely. I look forward to coming back on. Glad to be here and help out anytime. And, to your guests out there who are on today, get out and play around the golf, support our local golf courses, support our superintendents. They are doing an amazing job with the golf course conditions around town right now. They are ready for you to get out there, support your teachers here at the PGA, take a lesson, go hit a bucket of balls, but get out there and support golf, because it's a great activity to do right now when we do not have a lot else going on.
Right. Well, Jeff, thanks for joining us today. And on behalf of my partner, Colleen, who sends her best, I'm Don Cramer. We're with the Cramer Group at Urban Nest Realty. And if we can answer any questions you have with regards to golf course real estate, we would love to be able to field those for you. And again, if there's something that you've got a question for Jeff, definitely do us a favor. Leave those in the comments below. We'll love to answer them. So again, we appreciate Jeff tuning in. And more now than ever, your real estate experience matters. So again, on behalf of Colleen, we appreciate you tuning into the Monday episode of Coffee with Cramer and Colleen. Tomorrow, we will have on Ashley Remington with Lawyers Title, and we're going to talk about title and escrow, a little bit of 411, kind of the 411 info, but also how it's being handled in this corona crisis situation. Then on Wednesday, we have our market update. We're going to be checking the week over week numbers, but we're also going to be previewing what's happened in, kind of the April recap. Thursday, we've got a fellow realtor, Barbara Rychek from Atlanta. So, I belong to a group of top of the line real estate agents, realtors in the United States. And this organization, and we're able to interview some realtors in other markets, because we know people leave here and move to others, or vice versa, and also kind of get a sense of what's going on in their real estate market and also what's going on in their community. And then Friday, we're going to wrap up the week. We've got John Perticchese with ASAP Security. We originally tried to have John on a couple of weeks ago, but business got caught up. We know how that goes. So John's going to be tuning in this Friday. So we got a packed week of Coffee with Cramer and Colleen's lives. So we hope you can tune in again every day from 10 to 10:30 a.m. here on Facebook, and then we'll be sharing them out a little later when they complete. So Jeff, again, thanks. Cheers. I know you're not really a coffee guy. I think you got the big gulp going there.
That's right.
All right, let's throw that up there for the peeps.
There we go.
That was kind of our beverage we got through college.
Cheers, and be safe to everybody out there. Thanks again for having me, Don.
Thanks, Jeff.